Guys, welcome back to another video. It's your boy Monex, and today there's a tweet that I saw just by scrolling through Twitter, of course, and it was from Late Night Gaming. Now you probably heard of him before and stuff. Like he has a pretty decent YouTube channel and stuff, and he's primarily a Halo content creator, but he does some other stuff too. But otherwise, there's a tweet he put out saying, "Let's settle something. Is this the term arena shooter in flux right now? For most of my life, arena shooters were a pretty well defined genre of shooter categorized by a few things. No sprinting, climbing, sliding, etc. No two weapon limit, no loadouts or regenerating health, insanely fast paced movement speed, weapon health and armor pickups on the map, equal starts for weapons. Today I see anything from Call of Duty to the finals called an arena shooter. Is a small team competitive shooter now considered quote unquote arena, even if it doesn't follow these traits? What should we begin calling the original arena shooter formula if the definition is being changed?" And we'll answer
Oh
that
my
last question because this is how I like to, just in my own words, like how I like to describe it. So first, he basically is just saying about like, how arena shooters are just defined by like, you know, equal starts, weapon pickups, no loadouts and all this and that. Right now, what I'm gonna tell you right now, I'm gonna debunk like what he said, like what he
no,
saw,
no,
from other
God.
people, like what other people is
Yo,
seeing,
this is
basically, right?
crazy.
And I'm gonna help him on this. He probably already knows it anyways, but what I like to call Call of Duty is called like I like to call Call of Duty an arcade shooter. Basically, usually with arcade shooters, they feel more arcadey, especially classic Call of Duty. I'm gonna be honest, I don't modern Call of Duty. I mean, it's still arcadey, but like I don't know, it doesn't really feel arcade that much like it used to. But you know, basically arcade shooters. What I like to, how I like to, see if a game is an arcade shooter is
Got him.
basically number one is ADS and ADS swaying. That's one thing. That's like usually one of the ways how I can tell. Okay, this is an arcade shooter. Usually when it has loadouts, usually I'd be like, yeah, sure, but sometimes the same game can literally the same game with loadouts can literally have like, you know, weapon pickups and whatnot. So we'll
Oh,
come up with that term in a minute, but pretty much how I like to say Call of Duty is an arcade shooter. It's pick up and play. Usually how I describe arcade shooter is by this single definition. It's just basically, well, it's simple, really. It's just like, okay, let's say you're a new player, right? And it's just, you're just trying to find a casual shooter to play. Now, usually what Call of Duty and other games are called plug and play casual games where you can just like, boot up the game and there you go. There's a reason why Call of Duty and the other top games are like,
cute armor
pick up and
shorts.
play. Now, I'm not talking about like any other game, but I'm talking about like a shooter, like let's say
What is this
Battlefield, for
game, bro?
example. I like to call them
What is this?
arcade
I never
shooters.
seen anybody
Now,
say this
yes,
game
I know
arcade.
Battlefield and Call of Duty are different arcade shooters. One is you know, a 6v6, while another one is, you know, with 32 to 64 players. Yes, I'm aware of that. But to me, they're pick up
I
and
fragged
play,
somebody.
and their design philosophy is to where like the skill gap is like pretty easy. Let's say that. Yes, it's hard to master, but it's pretty easy to pick up, right? Compared to like an actual arena shooter, like Quake, Unreal Tournament, and we'll get to Halo in a minute.
Squad
Now,
down.
he also
Who's
says
this
the
dude?
finals.
I
Now, to
fragged
me,
somebody.
the finals is pretty unique. So I like to call the finals like an objective team based shooter, because that's just basically what it is. Well, yeah, basically, like you just work with your team, and it's mainly towards objective play. That's raw. That's pretty much why a lot of people like the finals, because it's something different, like
Squad
different
down. This real.
objectives. Cash out, power shift. Like it's
Please.
different than just like a TDM
Yeah, that
style
quad
arena.
game is a
Old school
lot different.
style
This
games,
squad game.
basically, or modes. And okay, he also says, is a small team competitive shooter now considered quote unquote arena? I'll say yes and no. It depends, really. Okay, to me, I'm gonna be honest. Every shooter, even hero shooters, yes, I'm gonna say it, even hero shooters
First place.
are reminiscent,
Yeah, that
from
quad damage
arena
gets
shooters.
over
Arena
really
shooters
loud,
is
doesn't
the
it? Just
oldest
spawn in here.
subgenre of FPS games out there. Like it's one of the oldest, if not the oldest, if I'm correct. Now, okay. And also the reason why I said no is because like I said, there's games with arcadey elements like Call of Duty and whatnot. That has like loadouts and stuff. I'm not saying that what makes it an arena shooter because really anything can be an arena shooter if it's like respawn and die and just getting fragging and stuff. But really, what I just like to say is that arena shooters are just basically prioritize on getting or gun is prioritizing on gunplay and fast pace. Well, I don't know if I want to say fast pace movement, but like fast paced gameplay, if that makes sense, pretty much. So yeah, that's what I would say. I'm gonna be honest with you. Now let's talk about Halo for a moment because I know a lot of people like to categorize Halo, within the
Finally got Wizard back.
conventional arena shooter
Man, that was the
genre,
one
which
ball that
I
just
do kind of agree. I mean, I won't lie to you. Classic Halo, it basically has almost everything that this guy has said. It has no sprinting, right? No sliding. You know, it has no loadouts.
finally got Wizard back.
I mean, yeah, it has regenerating
Man,
health,
that was the one ball that just kept.
but and the base movement speed isn't too fast, like compared to Quake or UT. But there's equal starts, and there's pickups on the map. But there are also some elements to Halo,
Finally got
especially the
Wizard.
newer Halos like Halo 4,
Man,
5,
that was the
where they
one ball
started to
that
go
just kept
more of
getting
like the
quad damage,
arcade
bro.
like route instead of like, but
I
you
couldn't
know,
survive if he didn't have quad
instead
damage.
of following the conventional rules of an arena shooter, like that's just how I remember and stuff. But also it still has like arena elements to it, but it has some arcadey elements to it as well. So then he asked the last question: what should we begin calling the original arena shooter formula if the definition is being changed? Well, it's really simple. Just call it classic arena shooters or conventional arena shooters or traditional arena shooters, if you want to call it that. I came up with a subgenre,
Oh,
how I like to categorize it, and it's called the arcade arena shooter. And it's more of like Halo, Split Gate, like just stuff that, well, Split Gate Arena Reloaded, and specifically, because the original Split Gate was like more of a traditional arena shooter. So I like to say like, well, basically, I like to like separate it from arcade arena
I forgot
shooters
your
and
armor.
just traditional arena shooters. That's basically how I do it. Like I said, the finals don't really have a conversation in this because it's pretty unique. Like it's something different. Like yeah, pretty much. But that's all I gotta say here. I hope you guys enjoyed this video. Leave a like and subscribe if you're new to the channel. And just
Oh
a little
boy.
topic that I saw on Twitter I just want to talk about. And don't worry, there will still be more Splitgate videos on the way. I just, there's been nothing going on with Splitgate right now, so I just want to talk about something different. And don't worry, we'll also make the finals content still on the channel as well. So, hope you guys enjoyed this video, and I'll see you guys later. See ya.